Director Young, thank you very much for being here, and as a former appropriations director, want to thank you for your service on that committee as well. As you know, our country is currently on the hook for $34.5 trillion in debt, with interest payments rising in the ranks on the federal balance sheet to the second highest government expense. The budget proposal presented by the Biden administration with one last opportunity to change course before the American people are presented with the opportunity to make the decision for him. Instead, the president has decided to double down on the same unsustainable tax and spend policies that brought us to this point, proposing a plan that would further subject American families and producers to the so-called transitory inflationary pressures, while increasing our national debt to $52 trillion, $52.7 trillion by 2034. With the past as prologue, we can look to the president's record over the past 3 years and see the bleak trajectory that Biden proposals would take our nation. Among the many troublesome policy proposals within this budget includes $4.9 trillion in new taxes on American families and producers. This would only serve to slow our economy and put increased price pressures on families, but it would also give the Keynesians more license to spend beyond their means. Perhaps one of the most incredulous tax proposals of the lot is this so-called minimum tax on assets and unrealized gains that would turn the IRS into a glorified property assessor. Director Young, I don't know of a single country that has this sort of a tax. Do you?
Mr. Cline, this tax, as you pointed out, would go after unrealized gains. I would point out that those gains, often not treated like income, can be taken to a bank, used as collateral, and millions of dollars received as loans against it. So if it's good enough to use as that kind of collateral, shouldn't it be taxed like income?
Okay. If such a tax were created, what would stop the government from expanding it in the future to apply to middle-class families in order to supplement its spending habits?
This president, the one asking for it, as you know, has an ironclad commitment. He is not going to sign a bill that taxes those making under $400,000. And certainly unrealized gains is only applied to billionaires and hundreds of millionaires. Certainly not middle-class families, not even close to middle-class families.
So you're saying there isn't anything in your proposal that would stop
the law? Yeah, our proposal stops at billionaires and hundreds of millionaires.
Okay, well, let me pivot slightly. Do you think that those who are millionaires, according to their assets, should be able to collect SNAP benefits currently?
Mr. Cline, on SNAP benefits, those who are eligible, as you know, we, as part of the debt deal, painstakingly found ways to ensure that those who were eligible and provided waivers in common sense ways. So we have sought reforms with Republicans in ways that protected that program.
But do you think
so
it's common
there
sense?
for those who need it most.
But
I'm not aware of millionaires who are getting SNAP benefits.
Well, there is something called the broad-based categorical loophole that would result, that has resulted in over 5 million people who don't pass the asset test, but are collecting SNAP benefits today. This is a big problem, and that's why I introduced legislation to close this loophole, and I would hope that I could get the administration's support on that, because millionaires should not be eligible or collecting SNAP benefits, and I think I heard agreement on that.
Well, I said I'm not aware of anyone doing that, but I'm happy to look at that piece of legislation.
Thank you. Continuing on that theme, in August 2021, President Biden's Department of Agriculture defied congressional intent and conducted a reevaluation of the Thrifty Food Plan without cost constraints, leading to a 21% increase in SNAP benefits at the cost of $300 billion over 10 years. As a former approach staffer, do you think the precedent is justified in ignoring Congress and expanding these programs to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars a year without, in violation of the '96 Congressional Review Act, which requires government agencies to submit policy updates to Congress?
Mr. Cline, we believe we are on strong legal footing, that we had every authority to undertake the Thrifty Food Plan.
But that was a major policy change, and you ignored the CRA, correct?
We have every legal ability to undertake that plan, to provide hungry people with more resources.
I will disagree and yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Young.
I think the